Good morning, everyone. The Graph here with your Friday Newsround live on CBBC. Coming up in the next few minutes, we've got some big news about President Trump, and we find out how our cities have been shaped by slavery. But first this morning, lots of tributes have been paid to CBBC actor Archie Lyndhurst, who has died after a short illness aged 19. Archie played Ollie Colton in the comedy show So Awkward. His friend and co-star Samuel Small, who plays Rob Edwards in the series, wrote a tribute on Instagram saying Archie loved his friends and family so dearly. And we hope he knows how much he was truly loved. And Sophie DeLargo, who plays Martha Fitzgerald, also shared her memories, saying Archie had the biggest heart she has ever known. Well, lots of you have also been getting in touch on the Newsround website to tell us how you feel about Archie. Tropical Sunrise says So Awkward was my favourite show, and Ollie was one of my favourite characters. Jamaica Gal says he was such an amazing actor and he seemed a kind and lovely person. You will be missed, Archie Lyndhurst. And Blue Fluffy Teddy Bear says, I'm so sorry for all his family and friends during this time. We will forever remember him as someone who worked hard and was one truly talented actor. Well, thank you so much for all of your comments, guys. Now, everyone here at CBBC has been deeply saddened by Archie's death. And we want you to know that if you are upset by anything in the news, it's really important to remember that you are not the only one. And it's okay to have those feelings. Take a look.
When bad things happen, it's totally normal to feel upset and worried. To think things like, why did this happen? Could this happen to me? Could this happen to my family and friends? Am I safe? It can be useful to remember that sometimes worrying events are in the news because they don't happen very often, and that it's very unlikely that you or anyone you know will be affected by them. So what should you do if you're feeling sad and anxious? Talk about it. You could speak to your parents, a teacher, or an adult you can trust. They can reassure you and help you feel better. And remember, when things like this happen, most people are there to help.
And always remember, you can find lots of advice and help over on the Newsround website. Now, to some breaking news from America this morning. Donald Trump and the First Lady Melania Trump have tested positive for coronavirus. The US president and his wife have gone straight into quarantine where they'll isolate whilst they recover. He tweeted, "We will get through this together." Trump is currently campaigning to stay on as the president with the US election in just a month's time. Next, there's a big debate going on at the moment about whether to remove or rename statues, buildings and streets in many cities across the UK. Some people feel they celebrate individuals who made money from slavery. Well, we met up with Esther Deans, who is a teacher in Bristol, working to make the city's education more equal. She took us on a tour of the city to show us how the history of slavery can still be found in its street names, organisations and monuments.
Hello, welcome to Bristol. My name's Esther and I'm a teacher here. Bristol is known for its thriving music scene, the iconic Clifton Suspension Bridge and world-famous artist Banksy. But it's also a city with a difficult history. In the 18th century, Bristol was one of Britain's biggest slave imports. The city made a lot of money from the triangular trade, which was the movement of goods and enslaved people between Europe, Africa and the Americas. 12 million black people from West Africa were deprived of status as human beings, kidnapped and sold as things. Captured Africans were transported across the Atlantic Ocean, and the conditions on the ships were terrible. Many did not survive the long journey. The enslaved people that did survive were forced into work camps called plantations to produce cotton, sugar and tobacco. The conditions were so awful that many enslaved people died doing this work. Ships then travelled back to Europe to sell these goods. Slavery shaped modern Britain, and we live with the memory of slavery today. Take a look at the beautiful old buildings in the city, and at first you might not think much about how they were built. But the profits generated by enslaved people's work funded these buildings. Many of the men who profited from slavery are still remembered in street names, statues and buildings throughout the city. I'm in Queen Square in Bristol city centre, which was created as a green space for the rich Bristolians in the early 18th century. The square is surrounded by beautiful old townhouses. Located close to the harbour, it was a prime location and home to lots of wealthy businessmen involved in slavery. Henry Bright was one of them. He became Mayor of Bristol in 1771. He was responsible for 21 slaving voyages from the city. The Brights made a fortune from trading in enslaved people. They also owned plantations in Jamaica. Henry Bright lived here at number 29, where he kept an enslaved man who he had named Bristol. The Brights continued to be a rich and powerful family in the city. Henry's grandson, also called Henry, became MP for Bristol in 1820 and was born here at number 29. The great wealth the Brights made through slavery was passed down through the family for generations. One street away from Queen Square is Bristol's Old Vic Theatre. Built in 1766, it is one of the oldest theatres in the UK. Originally called the Theatre Royal, it was funded by 50 men, many of whom were slave traders, slave ship investors and plantation owners. Bristol's cultural scene began to grow as a direct result of the money made from slavery. This was once the site of a statue of Edward Colston. He was a slave trader in the 1600s and a director of a group called the Royal African Company, which transported about 80,000 enslaved men, women and children from Africa to the Caribbean and the Americas. It made him very rich, and when he died in 1721, he left a lot of money to charities and good causes. He is recognised across Bristol, but some groups have been calling for the statue to be removed for many years. During a Black Lives Matter protest in June this year, demonstrators pulled down the statue and threw it into the harbour where the slave ships once were docked. This sparked a big debate about whether to remove, rename or reword buildings, statues and streets in cities across the UK. So, what do you think?
And to let us know what you think, head online and read our full guide on how slavery has shaped our cities. And please tell us your thoughts in the comments. Right, let's just have a quick look at last night's footy. Arsenal beat Liverpool on penalties to go through to the quarter-finals of the League Cup. It was goalless after 90 minutes, so went straight to a shootout. Arsenal keeper Bernd Leno was the star, saving 2 pens. They'll play Man City in the quarter-finals. Right, that's it for today, but we'll be back tomorrow with all of your weekend news. Have a great Friday, guys. Bye.